All right, let's go ahead and get into our guided practice. Notice off to the side, I have our steps that we need to follow as we find our quotient. If you follow these steps and you know your facts, you should be good to go. If you try to skip a step, if you try to, I don't even know, teach yourself, you're going to get your answers incorrect. And then you're going to end up what will end up with an incomplete assignment. So please make sure you're following the steps. Please make sure you are giving it some thought as you work out the problems for your independent and your exit ticket so that you can get credit for your work. All right, so we have 408 divided by 4. I'm going to first, actually, let me get my pen going. So we have 408 divided by 4. 408 is going to go inside the house, divided by 4. It's a little leaning. As a matter of fact, let me just redo that because that looks pretty off. Okay, that's better. Now I'm going to go through these steps. So I'm dividing by 4 here. So I'm going to start with 4 and I'm going to figure out 4 divided by 4, or I'm going to ask myself how many times does 4 go into 4? And I like coming off to the side to do my facts. So I know I got the answer 4 here, that 4 goes into 4 once. My 1 is going to go right over my 4 in the hundreds place. Don't forget you need to multiply here. So 1 times 4 gives you 4. It goes right under the number that we divided by. I am going to subtract, which is step 3. 4 minus 4 gives me 0. Bringing down, step 4, bringing down the next digit, which is 0. Now, some of you are going to be like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Why I got 0 right here? What's to do? Am I done? No, you are not done because you know you have another digit right here. So you literally are going to continue to ask yourself, 4 goes into 0 how many times? Is just 0, right? 4 can't go into 0. It can't go into nothing. So I am going to literally put 0 right in the tens place, right above that 0. 0 times 4 gives you 0. It's cool. Relax. You're all good. Um, 0 minus 0 is obviously 0. I am going to bring down my 8. 4 goes into 8 how many times? I'm going to come on over. Continue with my math here. 4 times 2 is 8. Oh, perfect. 4 goes into 8 twice. I got a perfect 8 right there. My 2 goes above that 8. 2 times 4 gives you 8. 8 minus 8 gives you 0. I am done with my problem. My quotient is 102. Easy peasy, as long as you're following those steps and going off to the side, rolling your 4s, rolling whatever numbers you need to roll. Let's go ahead with 486 divided by 2. 486 is going inside the house. Outside is the 2 because we're 486 divided by 2. Now I'm going to start right here with this 4. 2 goes into 4 how many times? Let's come over here. 2 times 1 gives me 2. 2 times 2 gives me 4. Oh, perfect. I got 4 and 4. I know that 2 goes into 4 twice. 2, we multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. I'm at step 3. 4 minus 4 is 0. Now I'm at step 4. Right here, bringing down that 8. 2 goes into 8 how many times? Let's keep it rolling. We should know our 2's by now. So I know 8, I've got an even 8 right here. So I know that 2 goes into 8 4 times. 4 times 2 is going to give me 8. I am going to subtract because don't forget, we repeat it. We're doing it all over. I'm at step 3. 8 minus 8 gives me 0. Step 4, bringing down that 6. 2 goes into 6 how many times? 3. This is a perfect problem, actually, you guys. It goes in 3 times because I got my 6 right there. My 3 is going right above. That's 6. 3 times 2 is 6. Continuing all the way to the very end. 0. My quotient is 243. We'll be rocking and rolling. I trust that you are rocking and rolling at home too. All right, so now we're going to get to some problems that aren't as simple as the ones we just had for 1 and 2. So we have 235 divided by 5, and my house is still leaning a little bit. That's okay. Don't talk about it. 235 divided by 5. This is where it gets a little less simple. So we are going to ask ourselves, how many times does 5 go into 2? Let's see if it does. and we cannot, right? This 5 is greater than that 2, so that's a 0. It's impossible. So now we ask ourselves, how many times is 5 going to 23? This 2 now is not alone. It now becomes 23. So our 5 should be very easy for us. We should be able to knock out our 5s very easily. Like, you should be saying them in your head a lot quicker than I'm able to come to the side and write them. So I have 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 is greater than 23, so we can't do that. We need to go ahead and accept this 20. So I am going to say that 5 goes into 23 4 times, because again, you can't go over that 23. My 4 goes above the 3, staying in the same place value there. 4, don't forget to multiply here. 4 times 5 gives me 20. You already did the work. Step 3 tells us to subtract. 23 minus 20 gives me 3. Step 4 tells me to bring down this 5. Now I need to ask myself, how many times is 5 going to 35? Continuing to roll these 5s over here to the side. Ooh, look at that. That's an even number there. I got 35, 35, stop, 7. 7 times 5 gives me 35. Still subtracting till I get to 0, and there's that 0. Don't forget, you do not need to write that 0, because 0 doesn't represent anything. It doesn't add any value. So my answer is simply 47. Let's go ahead with number 4. We have 106 divided by 2. I don't know about you guys, but when I divide by 2 or 5, I'm always happy, because those are sort of the easiest numbers to multiply by. So let's go ahead and think about 2 going into 1. Can 2 go into 1? No, it cannot, right? 2 is greater than 1, so I need to keep it moving. That's a 0. 2 goes into 10. Don't forget, this 1 is going to now turn into 10. 2 goes into 10 how many times? Let's check it out. Although, again, you should be able to say these facts quicker than I'm writing them off to the side, because your 2s are very easy. Oh, let me stop. 10, 10. I'm there. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Don't forget, we're going to multiply. 5 times 2 gives me 10. 10 minus 10 gives me 0. That was step 3. Step 4 is telling me to bring down this 6. 2 is going to go into 6 how many times? We already did the work off to the side over here. 2 times 3 gives me 6. So 2 goes into 6 3 times. My 3 goes above my 6. Don't forget to multiply. 3 times 2 gives you 6. 6 minus 6 gives you 0. 53 is my quotient. Now, here's what I noticed that a lot of students get sort of caught up. We get down here and we forget where to put our 6. So I multiplied 3 times 2, and now I'm thinking about putting 6. And I'm thinking about 6. And do I put my 6 here? Do I put my 6 there? No, you put your 6 where it needs to go whenever you set up a subtraction problem in general. We would never set up a subtraction problem and put 6 in the tens place and put nothing in the ones place, right? So don't overthink it. Don't second guess yourself. Go with the natural flow of things and how we normally would set up a subtraction problem, so that you're not getting yourselves confused. I also want to show you very quickly one way to check your work when you're dividing. So let's say this is our checkpoint. We take our quotient, which is 53, and then we multiply it by our divisor, which is 2. When we multiply, because don't forget, multiplication and division is sort of like cousins. When we multiply, we're actually going to come up with our dividend. It should equal our dividend. So let's try that. 2 times 3 gives me 6. 2 times 5 gives me 10. Boom. My 106 here is the same as my dividend, so I know that that answer is correct. You can do the same thing with this 47 to see if you divide it correctly. So I have 47. This is my checkpoint. 47 times 5. This is just a little extra for my friends who like to know that they're correct. 5 times 7 is 35. We group that 3. 5 times 4 is 20, plus that 3 gives me 23. 235 is the same as the dividend, so I know that my answer is correct. If this answer is off, you're off somewhere in your division problem or your multiplication. So don't be afraid to do it again. Don't be too lazy to do it again. If you need to rewind, please rewind. If you need to text or call me, please do so before you get frustrated and start doing all your answers, getting wrong answers because you don't know what you're doing. Rewatch the video if you need to. Do what's necessary so that you are successful at this assignment.